The Japanese view all international relations through the lens of hierarchy. For the past decade, they've portrayed themselves at the pinnacle of this international hierarchical pyramid. Although Western nations have now overtaken this position, they still cling to this worldview. To Americans, equality represents the noblest and most moral foundation for building a better world. The Japanese declare their belief in each in their proper place, a life principle cultivated through social experience. For centuries, inequality has been Japan's fundamental organizing principle, both predictable and widely accepted. To them, acknowledging hierarchy comes as naturally as breathing. This text raises a crucial contrast. Americans pursue equality, while Japanese embrace hierarchy. The problem lies in Japan's historical self-perception as superior, leading to aggression against China and even challenging America. Even after WWII's defeat, Japan remains unwilling to abandon its hierarchical mindset. I believe Benedict's analysis captures Japan's defining characteristic. Lacking egalitarian ideals, they tend toward arrogance. For decades post-war, Japan resisted being identified as Asian because, historically, Asia symbolized poverty and backwardness. Japan persistently saw itself as part of the Western Club through its Datsue Nai, leave Asia, enter Europe policy. China's rise forced Japan to confront maintaining its Asian leadership status, becoming a key diplomatic challenge. Japan ultimately chose aligning with America to contain China through strengthened U.S.-Japan alliances. Throughout history, Japan adopted many Chinese political systems, but consistently rejected two institutions. First, the eunuch system. Japanese imperial courts had bureaucrats but no castrated officials. Second, the imperial examination system. In China, even poor farmers' sons could become top officials through education, transforming both their status and national leadership. Thus, the imperial examination system became China's pathway, encouraging scholars to excel through education. Japan maintained rigid hierarchy, emperor above shoguns, shoguns above daimyo lords, lords above samurai, and samurai above commoners. These hereditary positions bound samurai families to eternal service for their lords in exchange for stipends. This created Japan's most entrenched interest groups within social relations. Japan rejected China's examination system specifically to prevent commoners becoming samurai and disrupting hierarchy. Though modified through Meiji Restoration and post-war reforms, elements of this hierarchy persist today. However, parliamentary systems abolished aristocracy and implemented modern education. Now farmers' sons can become diet members or cabinet ministers, like 1990's PM Tomiichi Murayama, a fisherman's son from Ida. This social mobility contrasts sharply with Ruth Benedict's The Chrysanthemum and the Swords descriptions. When the Japanese translation released in 1949, it gave Japanese people new lenses for self-reflection. Scholars split into pro-Benedict and anti-Benedict camps. Tokyo University's Professor Kawashima emerged as key Benedict supporter. Mr. Kawashima, post-war Enlightenment leader and legal scholar, published his analysis in May 1949 Japanese Ethnological Research Journal. He praised Benedict's methodology while noting limitations like historical context gaps and overgeneralization of Japanese character. Kawashima wrote, "Defeat tore my heart apart. This book came when I needed it most, an unforgettable revelation. War's extreme experiences magnified Japanese spiritual life and traditions like a microscope, he reflected. Examining Japan's unprecedented historical trajectory through foreign analyses brings painful self-reflection. The Chrysanthemum and the Swords offers unique insights and incisive analysis unmatched by contemporary works. I urge all Japanese to read this. Our education has limitations in critical self-examination. We Japanese tend to uncritically accept traditions as central to judgment more than any nation. This book provides vital intellectual stimulation for national introspection. Though written for wartime occupation purposes, it offers crucial lessons for self-understanding. Remarkably, it avoids wartime propaganda, demonstrating America's allowance for objective enemy analysis. Kawashima marveled at Benedict's comprehensive Japanese cultural portrait without visiting Japan. Through mundane daily observations, she vividly depicted Japanese spiritual life and culture. While containing misunderstandings, her profound analysis remains intellectually impressive. Why can't Japanese scholars similarly analyze American culture without visiting? I deeply admire the author's scholarly rigor and methodology. This book mercilessly exposes our cultural flaws under harsh light. It compels profound national soul-searching. Professor Tomita Iwo, former Tsukuba University vice president, leads Benedict's Japanese critics. In 4 essays on Japanese culture, Reading the Chrysanthemum and the Sword, this prominent sociologist systematically critiques Benedict. His core critique, Benedict's analysis of Japanese unabandons cultural relativism for American-centric absolutism. Professor Ueshe argues Benedict misinterpreted Japan's shame culture through American guilt culture lens, exaggerating it as book's hallmark and misleading international understanding. Indeed, shame culture receives extensive analysis in The Chrysanthemum and the Sword, serving as key to comprehend Japanese society and behavior. Benedict characterizes Japanese shame culture as productizing others' perceptions and personal reputation over intrinsic morality. In polytheistic Japan, divine consciousness remains weak compared to acute awareness of social judgment. Japanese actions stem not from abstract right-wrong, but anticipating others' opinions, the essence of shame culture. This cultural trait roots deeply in Japan's social structure and agricultural history. Rice cultivation during early Meiji era fostered closed village communities with strict interpersonal hierarchies. Tokugawa shogunate enforced Neo-Confucian ethics, emphasizing family obedience and collective responsibility. This system suppressed individual autonomy, fostering hypersensitivity to community judgment. Japanese developed acute social radar, constantly gauging others' reactions to avoid standing out. Behavioral norms perpetuates group harmony, will this inconvenience others, guides decision-making. These social mechanisms gradually crystallized into Japan's distinctive shame-based national character. Shame remained central in Japanese social consciousness and behavioral codes. Social expectations and peer evaluation dictate personal conduct standards. Japanese live under constant others' gaze, aligning actions with group norms. This cultural DNA permeates all aspects of Japanese life through centuries of reinforcement. Example: at izakaya obs, everyone's first drink is invariably beer, regardless of gender or familiarity. If one person in 10 requests sake, they instantly become the odd one out. Everyone would perceive you as antisocial and lacking group-oriented values. Avoiding inconvenience to others exemplifies modern Japanese shame culture. Whether on subways, trains, or Shinkansen, loud conversations are taboo, especially on bullet trains. Phone calls require moving to designated areas between carriages. Taking calls at your seat makes you public enemy number one. You'd be labeled supremely uncultured. Shinkansen passengers often rest or sleep. Any noise disrupts this collective quiet. This ethic extends to family life. Adults never ask parents for money, working part-time regardless of family wealth. Requesting housing or cars from parents for marriage is considered immoral. Such parasite single behavior reveals shameful entitlement. It violates fundamental filial piety principles. Using parents' retirement funds for personal luxury breaches ethical norms. Hence, 85% of Japanese couples rent homes when marrying. Shame culture in action. Contemporary Japan shows declining shame culture awareness. Some now pretend sleep or fixate on phones to avoid offering seats to elderly, pregnant. Young women apply makeup in transit. People bump others without apologizing. Reasons include rising individualism, challenging group conformity. Gaming, anime-obsessed youth, blur reality, virtual boundaries. Post-war, prosperity and nuclear families, weakened community ties. 70 years post-publication, why revisit the Chrysanthemum and the swords today? 2 compelling reasons warrant re-examination. First, the book's analysis of Japanese culture and national character remains relevant. National characteristics possess historical continuity that transcends time. Understanding Japanese cultural logic helps us rediscover lost elements of Chinese cultural heritage. Second, the book teaches balanced approach. Study in Japan beyond historical grievances to analyze its post-war resurgence. Why does modern Japan strengthen military capabilities and U.S.-Japan alliances? We should examine Japan's social improvements rather than solely criticize. The book's academic objectivity made it essential reading for understanding Japan and influenced U.S. occupation policies. The Chrysanthemum and the Sword remains crucial for decoding Japanese cultural DNA. However, post-war Japan underwent significant societal transformations. While valuable reference, we shouldn't deify this 1946 study when analyzing modern Japan. Contemporary observation ensures accurate understanding of today's Japanese society. This concludes our analysis. Find keynotes below the audio. See you tomorrow.